And God showed me, he said, he wasn't all the way dead. He suffered greatly before he died. Because if anybody treated me like that and attempted to take my phone and stuff from me, if they made it, I made it back on dry land with nothing they could do to keep me from running for the hill. But I'm going to tell you, Nolan seen things and they knew. Because when you hang out with those groups, I'm going to tell y'all how I know. I told y'all, my first child, and I'm not going to make it too long, my first child's father was in situations like that. It was like he was. Welcome, welcome. I just played the confirmation for you guys. God wanted me to confirm that they are on the right track concerning Nolan and what happened to him. As I stated in the previous videos, as I try to get everything and post it where y'all could go directly to the videos because it's draining me trying to get through all these videos, especially I've done so many videos just recently and I'm trying to make sure that everything is being accounted for. There are so many things, not just in Nolan's case, but also as well in the headlines and the things that I have spoken. Hold on, let me make sure we can get it up here. Right. The things that I have spoken just recently concerning let me try to get these up here first. All right. Concerning David's case, when it came to David and what I told y'all could be in the situation where God had me to prophesy before um the whatever happened of what I seen. And then when I was explaining to y'all the very thing that may shock y'all concerning what happened where David is concerned, well, this young lady. Y'all didn't believe what I was saying about these young girls and how they respond and act, and how this particular young girl was proven on video that she was not afraid of um, com- confrontations and things. And I did tell you guys because when you're dealing with these situations, you have to be very careful with throwing certain things around. Here's consistency all the way across the board from the Gabby Petito, David allegedly, um, Wales case allegedly, all of those, you'll see in each instances how they panicked in the situations and they all responded in a way when a person's life had ended. Now, here's the thing what the audio does not say to you. I'm sorry, y'all. I heard, sound like I heard somebody coming, and he in there talking to somebody on the phone. Y'all, excuse me a minute. Let me check my car and stuff because nobody should be coming from back there. Uh, Yeah. You expecting somebody? You expecting somebody out here? You know somebody in the Ultima, a silver Ultima? Yeah, that's a silver Ultima. They was parked up here in the front. They just left. He came from back here. He showed. You better go check your truck and stuff. But he definitely came from back there. My cousin got a white one. No, this one's silver. It's a silver Ultima, like a. I'm not sure if it's a 2000. This is something I'm getting so sick of. The girl? Yeah, they pulled off. It's a guy. I know that for sure. That's what made me. I knew it wasn't Chad voice. He said something about some pounds and something else when he was going back there. And then when he came back, I heard him on the phone, and that's what some just said. You better get up and go look. But he was pulling off in the car. I said, let me check my car. You see on my truck. You see my truck on the other side of my truck. Is that door open still? Where he went? Hold on, y'all. Please, hold on. It's a definite. You see this door right here open? Is this door right here open? Yeah. They, they it's open. Or get whoever it is. If I I hope they don't get worse. Can't say it because they gonna learn to stay back here, especially if they mess with my car. And that seems like that's what they keep targeting that truck because I don't drive. All right, coming back in here. All right. Hmm. I'm gonna go out that door. I gotta watch. I can't do it. I feel like 100 and some degrees out that door. All right, give me a minute. If you started hollering about battery low. All right, I'll be itching and scratching myself and slapping myself outside. Slapping outside. I'll be like, what's wrong with them? All right. That's what I need to do when I get off here and get the cameras installed. um, like I thought about doing. All right, I'm back in the house and stuff because I was gonna look past it. The people across the fence is really close too, but yeah, way he was way too close. Cause he came right past that window, and many of them don't know when I be checking on my mom or be in her vicinity or whatever. But the guys, my uncle them always be in and out, and they handle business. So if they playing games, they better know balls ain't scared. And that's why I be saying, and I have to anyway. I don't want to get too much into that. All right. Whew. Change the earpiece. Come on. So other things I need to be doing. Um. Okay. Where did I leave off? I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive the interruption or whatever. And then I seen 1010 again, and what I noticed is the information that I had stored for confirmation. It said 1010 too. I was like, wow. So that's twice I seen it in the same for the same message um that I had seen. Many people don't think that certain things occur when crimes happen. You think somehow people have formulated in their mind that people are so well versed for as the law and for as um, their reactions to certain things. And you have to realize too, when you're in the company of a lot of people witnessing an occurrence of what happened, whether it's an accident or not. You have to understand. I told y'all exactly what God said to me. These things that are being leaked, He said, hidden. What is thing here? Oh, that's what I was talking about. I warned Mr. P about this here. It's in the headlines. You can go back and look at the videos. Just like I said, I told y'all, I'm not a lying prophet. I told y'all, when God says something, ain't no predicting nothing. It has to show up. You hear? Let me see. So, oh, that's not. Let's see. I was looking for. Did I put it on here? Oh, no. Oh, it's on the other phone. Oh, okay. Here it is. Oops. So here it is. Why you can go. It's up under this video right here. That's in the shorts. This is what I said. Remember, I told y'all I put it where I can go back to it. That it was going to be a timeline there that I knew that I was going to need because God told me it would be just that. And everything you see here is happening. Confusing statements, the distortion of the timeline, the testimony of the witnesses, and will cause they will cause or try to cause a what? A hung jury or mistrial due to lack of credibility, evidence, witness tampering. And God said that it isn't the first time this. You see that? Okay. So just so you know, I like to let you see for yourself. And I ain't saying very much, and I ain't revealed the whole thing, but I want to show y'all so you can see yourself. Here it is, where if for everything within it, it's it said, I heard the Lord say, premeditated, and look what it says up under there. They go to timestamps now. Look at the timestamp now. Look at the timestamp now. So the only reason, oh, she heard this, no, she ain't heard a darn thing. As a matter of fact, I just bought the video being released because I haven't been paying attention to none of that stuff on whatever. Y'all say and y'all think that these people they don't be um listening and all that into my stuff. What did I tell y'all? Now, where did y'all hear that come from? Ain't no other influencer or anybody else that was reporting on Nolan Wales that I have heard. Go back in the timestamps and everything. He released this and put this up there after, because I know when I went on my other phone, this is what popped up. I had did what, a 2 hour video with y'all, an hour or something like that. And that's how I knew because they had freshly released this video after I released what I said. And I say, God kept saying, this is what I've been sitting up for the last past hour or so, trying to get back what I released it. And I said, God said, it's hidden in plain sight. So there you have it. I told you, I ain't come to play. And I've been at this over 20 something years from a child on, and God has never lied to me, misdirected me, and had me to say anything that did not align or did not come out through the news or whatever. That's something I can't control spiritually or naturally. So it's right there. I have to be brief on president thing, but it's right there in those videos. What I released and what I said, and the same thing that went along. Remember what I said? This is how you'll know it's the video. It said it was talking about where I warned him not to have nothing to do with the Diddy thing, and they better be careful trying to get me shadow banned and all that kind of stuff because God is using me to reveal. Because I don't know these people personally, but I still have to do just like they do what they do. I have to do what God called me to do. Come death or high water. You hear what I say? So in aligning with everything that God has said, and even with the situation with this young lady right here, allegedly. I told y'all, you don't know because she wasn't afraid. If he paid for her to come back to his home, so now you have the text messages, and in another deleted case now, deleting messages, trying to disassociate from what's happened to her that could not have been his fault, but somebody who panics and say, well, I'm duped either way. Because if they pinpoint this and now, because so what sense does this make for David to erase messages that connect him and her and different things that it wouldn't? Even when it comes to the situation where you're saying that somehow his mother, oh, whoa, okay, making sure, because Lord have mercy, I don't want to be sitting up there talking and all this stuff, because they've been really messing up my videos so bad. I listened to the 7 hour one, and I mean, just how many cutouts that they cut out, all the important revelation that God was giving and stuff like that. But God gonna do it, confirmation. Um, even when it came to the David's mother knowing. Just because David says to a girl, when his mama probably already told him, boy, you getting money now, you're famous or whatever, she could have told him before he even did all that. If girls come up, talk about she pregnant and all that, that's common for us as mothers and fathers to equip our children and tell them. Because I, myself, whether my mama stepped in to do it or what, to skip the school my brothers on some triteness of women and stuff like that. So he asked her a possible question, and by him saying that don't mean she was cheating, but it could be. He knew that she was messing around with other people. It's being indicated by her friends and her ex. Because y'all assuming and y'all put everything on David when she had previous relations, a whole nother boyfriend somewhere else before David. And definitely, if you account for Wild David, then that's already telling you this girl was hipping and hopping and anonymous. But it's easy to put it on this one person. So, like I said, what if she came back in the door? Somebody else was there. Because that's coming from men that do what they do. I've been in the situation, my child father, and it was God that calmed me because I was going to tear his whole house up. And because I made a joke with him, I was at my house, he was at his house. And he said that he was on his way over there. And I was like, no, you're not. Because you know, read between the lines. So because I was saying with him, which that's up to me. This is my body. So all of a sudden, because he had done went and got drunk at some party and all this kind of stuff, and he done came across this helper he was talking about so for some time ago, his friend or whatever. She was down for whatever. According to her whole Facebook, she always crying about she's single. She ain't got no man. And da. So I've been peep game with all that, whatever. Then no, ain't no just no friend. Well, you say she just a friend, or you say she just a friend. Oh, baby, you. You know what I mean? Yeah, and all that. Ain't nobody stupid. It's amazing to me how y'all report this stuff, but y'all act like y'all ain't never lived a day in this dang on life. Like seriously, bro. Y'all think that people can't do certain stuff and stuff don't happen. Even in my daddy's case, you don't think she panicked. You don't think this, like I said, how she was talking to me. It's not the point of her telling me to come something happened to my daddy. But at this point, she knew he was DEAD. What am I gonna do with DEAD? And what do I need to be there for in the middle of the night? So except you had some something being plotted and planned for me around then. I mean, what more would make sense? You see? So you have to dig deeper, and that's why I say I like the way God used me because I'm not surface. And when He take me into something, when He show me something, it can be a little scary for me because He goes below the surface. He goes deep into whatever it is that He's telling me and that He's showing me. And He don't show me anything shy of the truth. And they right there is what I told you while being in the company of yeah. Holy Spirit, you're gonna have to help me so I don't reveal. Ooh, Jesus. I just want I've been praying and y'all see me get on here and pray too. And God is unfolding the answers. I haven't really revealed it. I don't want the money. It's prophetically and knowing what God showed me, and she has the right to know what happened to her son. In the case of Celeste, allegedly, I'm trying to stay calm. I need to very much so stay calm. In the case of this here that you see on the screen, alleged, do understand that I witnessed so many things. I don't have to be this, that, or whatever. This is why I tell you all that number stuff and in Washington and all that. A lot of these criminals don't even tell y'all certain things. David has a very wicked mind or whatever. But if that girl was on anything, if that girl, not even saying that she had to be on something, you have to see too, in the state of mind frame that she could have been in as well. You done had abortions by the time you was 13, and this boy keep humping on you, humping on you. Now he just not just humping on her, but she was willingly there. She was leaving and she was coming and she was going. Even if they said they had evidence that she was driving his car, that may have been what some of the dinks and stuff was coming from in his car. You see? So you being reckless, all that. She's showing up at his concerts and all these things. He was not harboring a minor. She was willingly there. According to the law, that's what it would be at the point that they told him. So yeah, he guilty most definitely because they told him this girl is not 18. So they're just as much as fault if she was there and they said she's not 18. Why did they not take custody of this girl? But you have several accounts with the parents of Celeste wherein she has went home and she has ran away. She has went home and she has ran away. She has went home and she has ran away. The most disturbing thing is the earliest account of at least 10 years old. Come on now. Now I told y'all I went to school at 15 pregnant with my first child. The youngest girl there was 11 who was pregnant from her stepfather, and her mama abandoned her to stay with the man. News traveled so fast around the whole school, and we all, even though we were minors, just felt nothing but emotions connected to that girl. Like, 11? Are you kidding? And then to find that her mama discards her to stay with the guy. This ain't that. So now they want to pop up with all this stuff about they reported this and this and this and this and this and this. Then you have the father, you have all of that. Even Nolan's parents went to the perpetrators allegedly, showed up at their home for his phone and his car. They allegedly knew David's name. Come on now. She shows up at a picnic. So you mean to tell me at no time nobody confronted this boy? She's not leaving here with you. You pull up here, we're gonna call the police on you. She come back here, we're gonna call the police. We have to put her in custody and let them put her in a home or whatever the case may be. And 9 times out of 10, according to what was going on with them, she was gonna run away from there too. I had a cousin who had foster children, and that actually played a part in some of the things that because she was really what raising her children decently, and she had about 3 foster care girls, and they was literally till my cousin had to go on medication. That's just how much. Then by the time her daughter reached 14, 15, whatever, all the stuff, money she was putting and keeping her focused and all that kind of stuff, to eventually she had to let it go, trying to help with the foster children and all of that with HRS and stuff like that because they didn't have proper homes. But she was trying to give them a decent place, and you know, be there for them to be educated and all of that. So these are a lot of things that people don't talk about publicly. You just hear the other sides of these things, and they find someone that just boom pinpoint or whatever. and it's not taken up for the young man. Because in a situation, if like I said in the dream that I see the girl and it was a lady coming through there, and I was like, the lady wasn't supposed to be there. Here the boy, and he comes in, and the girl standing over there cooking or something like that. I saw. You have to go back and look at it. I don't remember everything. And I said I seen a knife. And I said that's something I never seen before, because on the table in like a car seat was like a new, like it was something had to do with a baby, and then the baby falls off the thing in there what it was, and then as I tried to go in the vision and catch the baby had already hit the floor. So I said, I told y'all, no, it's not speculation. You gonna find out that that girl already had a previous abortion. A T. When she was in that video, that is what God showed me. When Celeste was in that video, everybody wanted to know who she was waiting on, where was she coming from. When I seen that building, because if you in Tampa, there is a building that's an abortion clinic that looks just like that building. And when I saw it and her walking, and God said when she came through there, and I think what did they say is the liquor store next to it or whatever the case may be, and at the rate she was moving and all of that, because see these AD clinics and stuff like that, they don't care if you mm, fall at somewhere or whatever. They do what they do. They take your money and they send you on. This is why it should not be legal, because just as everything else, no matter medical whatever, these people, they more concerned about money, not health, not life, and they are irresponsible. So if you tell me that this child was allowed, or even him, to purchase a Plan B or something for her to have an AB, come on, somebody. And this is the stuff y'all vote for. This is the stuff that y'all vote into law. Talk about your body. Where if you DIE, your body still gonna be messed up because there'll be no life in it. So make it make sense. When it came to the bruising on the back of that boy's head, and I kept trying to tell y'all, and what was happening, because he fought back, but he was outnumbered. The boy that was on the phone, you can't understand that. Where this doesn't happen to him, somebody, if it's true that they say and that you hear, I thought about that too. Can we cover this up? So if you calling the tow to come tow the boat in or whatever, y'all had ample time in before that. Nobody knows what was going on before that. So if that happened and they say, "Oh my God," and all they scrambled and find out or whatever. If they have the mother on the phone, she's a judge, and she over here saying that she trying to go, "Oh my God, Nolan, Nolan, oh my God." So everybody's panicking. And if the other one over here on the phone and somebody on the phone with her, and they reacting because the boat is sinking, because maybe the struggle that happened or whatever the case may be. That's just the whole thing of what was going on. Because they continually confuse you on the timeline of Nolan leaving that island. And for him to be freshly put into water in that manner, and I said right there in the video that God said he was not all the way DEAD. So the questions that was allegedly being formed in that audio, I told you through the tampering, they can do anything when they turn over different things. The force do it all the time with the cameras that the police is be having, and they have a thing where they can turn it off. So when you have a dispatch, now y'all have to understand this. Because if your boat is sinking and all y'all on there, you account for everybody but him. So that's indicating it's a cover up there if he was, because you don't want anybody to know. So if the people would have had to show up as far as calling the sea tow or whatever y'all calling it. So if that be the case, what is that? We got enough money to pay this person off to shut up, especially where they from or whatever. Okay? So if they had some on there, tarp or whatever, that they cover that up. Who's going to be paying attention to that? But how much water was in the boat? How much of the evidence they could have gotten rid of before the people was towing the boat? How ironically, by 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, y'all cleaning the boat and all this kind of stuff. Y'all didn't even took the boat back out and all this kind of stuff. Now come on now. So that's why I say that's the important part. Where's the part that came off the boat if something was wrong with the boat? Where's the evidence? And usually, for insurance purposes, especially with the notice situation, you would have thought they would have covered their tracks in that way too. That there would be evidence that there was water in that boat, it was sinking. That we have evidence that this boat was in dire trouble. Where are the photos? Y'all photographed Nolan on the island. Y'all photographed him being there. Somehow, after he disappeared, then nothing. Nada. De nada. No pure speculation. It's exactly that. I told you don't play on here because the Holy Spirit shop around here. I ain't your influences. I'm a woman of God. And prophetically, when he did with me, it's just that. Told you don't play with it. God ears is everywhere, baby. So when all of it come out, you come back over here and say pure speculation. That part. That part. So I'm presenting to you to let you know that during times where people panic, I was looking for it on the internet trying to show y'all because I like to show y'all the evidence. I like to show y'all. Whereas with the case of the man who unalived his wife, he made the phone call when he confirmation. He STABBED her. Apparently, she had enough consciousness to try to play like she was totally out of there, or like they said, the 911 call revealed that you can hear her gasp for air, that whatever she being unconscious or whatever. And that is when he panicked and it messed him up in this 911 call, thinking that and he was there hugging her but stabbing her at the same time because nobody else was there. So when they came and got him, the ambulance and the police, he's sitting over here sobbing and crying. Oh no, my wife. So there's evidence to him. This is going they this not it's gonna help me not be implicated. And guess what? He was getting ready to go marry a whole nother woman. But for insurance purposes, he had to get rid of her. Get out of here. So don't say that you think you know it all. Because when adrenaline get pumping in, especially when he was one person. And you trying to make sure airtight alibis and witnesses, nobody crack, nobody da 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 da, because we have the power to get rid of this. Because apparently they was thinking, okay, that'll float with Nolan's mom, and it's gonna go away. Or even especially if we had a homeboy come out here and say, there's no evidence of foul play. But in this, even if you saying panicking, and why would they do that and be on a phone call and whatever the case may be? You think we can cover it up? Why wouldn't you think he would be on the phone but didn't know if everybody? And then you hear somebody saying shit that what up because you're deemed back on the phone. So here's supernaturally speaking that God wants this boy death to be revealed. When God is in it, you could be in a place where you think no cameras, nobody see you, nothing, 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 nothing. God'll make it. So God is saying that even if y'all watch it, I put that behind his head. So when another autopsy is done, there'll be questioning behind it. I have you remove certain things that you're not thinking during this autopsy, and you tried to cover that up, and that's questionable too. So I made it so it would not go away. So y'all forget when y'all go do crimes that God is still evident in the battle. That part. He's still relevant, baby. So as I said, God said, hidden in plain sight. And as I just showed you, well, you sit up here thinking that I just be, and no, nobody is, da, 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 da. I told y'all I was going to start snapshotting it and bring y'all the total evidence of what they doing. And they constantly trying to get me shut up, being all that, trying to take credit for my work and what I'm doing. And God said, not so. So I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, get ready to end this. I really don't want to repeat what they said they heard or whatever and just let them do whatever. But you can hear in their voices. And I made it very plain in the video that God said there's somebody that was on that boat that really regret that happened to Nolan. And that person want to make sure without endanger themselves that it gets found out. That is what the leaking of certain information that is coming out that's leading to the truth. God confirmed with me again before I even got on here. He is definitely, like he said, he's going to make it so that can't nobody work out eventually. Take it to the bank, baby. I'm going to stand on God's word every day, all day. What y'all have to understand about trying to get somebody to break, everybody involved that have any knowledge, any way, form, or fashion will be held accountable in some type of charges, even being witness to a crime. If you right there, that make you accessory to the fact. Where do y'all lose consciousness of these things? These boys had careers too. Apparently, they thought Nolan's was expendable. not they, but them. You can hear the one voice in his voice when he said, Nolan, no, get up. And like I said, it could have been just as pure because y'all study targeting the one boy name that they said. But if he jumped down there because they was forcing him up to help out with the boat or whatever, but they always said Nolan is always so helpful and stuff like that. Could have been as innocent as him jumping off that boat and whatever plug that needed to be pulled, and they were supposed to pull him back up or whatever. If something jilted, something turned, something went wrong in that thing, they pulled him back over. He wasn't all the way unalive. So even in trying to give CPR or anything like that, and he's saying D Bart or whatever the case may be, you just you wasn't there. So everybody's panicking and saying, okay, if we could just get back to whatever, cover the tracks here, we're trying to make sure if we got this ample time, move quick, 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 quick. So if everybody's scrambling at the point that all we can do is call them back and say, no, we don't need to, because why? If your boat is sinking, no matter how good a swimmers y'all are, and the same thing with him, that would made me understand too. Why was he so willing if he that didn't have anything attached to him that they could put him back in the boat or whatever the case may be? You know what I mean? If he jumped out there and it was too much for him, it could have. He could have got caught tangled up in something where the boat was concerned. Or maybe he was down there trying to see if the thing would drain out or whatever and say, well, now try the boat and something with Nolan. You see? But if he was injured to that point and they pull him back over on the boat, then it would be an indication that everybody was trying to think and hoping that, figuring out how to explain this, that it was just an accident, he'll pull through or whatever. Whatever the boy did or whoever did what to him, it provoked a response out of him. Now it's over. He's done. You know what I mean? D word. You see? So in the fact, if it's the case where you having an altercation with somebody, boys, especially football players and scribblers, I was raised in the country at some point. I'm a city girl. I was born in the city. But at some point, my mom took us to the country. And there we used to get out there as girls and fight the boys. We used to wrestle, all kind of stuff. And one thing that you would duly note, and then I had some female cousins that used to do it too, where they put you in the chokehold, try to see you get out of it and all kind of stuff. When stuff like that happen, especially with adrenaline and everybody mad or everybody something going on or whatever, that's very much so. So you still have that's indicating whatever happened with his throat situation, the back of the head situation. You understand what I mean? Even hypothetically, everybody drinking and all this kind of stuff, y'all going out there, the boat get going down. No to get panicking. I know I should have got on the boat. And da 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 da. Oh, shut and calling them Pete or whatever. Then an altercation arise in the midst of tragedy already. You know? Now y'all trying to start boat shaking and they're over here cutting the fool or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So if altercation or struggle start happening, and Nolan trying to fight back or whatever the case may be with whoever he got into the altercation with and with all of them being there, that puts him in a situation and everybody else because you can hear it in their voice. They very disturbed and distraught. Not even just about him, but about whatever was going on with the boat situation. If anything was going on with the boat. So that's what you got to come to the conclusion of. Was anything really going on with the boat? So even so, if you thinking that that couldn't occur, if that is the direct uh, audio, from the tow and not them calling for the Coast Guard and whatever the case may be, there's always a second recording somewhere of, because for insurance purposes in those countries and those companies and things like that, if you call AAA and they tell you these calls may be monitored or whatever, if you understand when the lady kept saying hello or what, how may I help you or whatever she said when she was answering the call, he was distracted. So yes, people, that can happen. Because if I don't have the phone to my ear and I don't hear the lady pick up or whatever case may be, he was distracted. And several times he made pauses in the questions that he sure did. Is everybody in good condition on the boat? Pause. Huh, answer. So other than that, da 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 da. So if you trying to cover up something, you gonna make these, yes, because they need accountability of what was what with that boat. And any dumbbat know, unless the thing gets broke somewhere inside the boat where it can't be traced to ping wherever it was going, like the dummies obviously thought Nolan's mom wouldn't be able to track his phone. So if they made that kind of mistake, how y'all questioning that situation? Because that's the dumbest mistake right there. Everything outside on the boat is questionable. But the whole of keeping the keys to the boy car, any insane person would have tossed that overboard with that boy. That's just real. And I ain't no criminal. Because if you panicking trying to distance yourself from a crime such as this, your response is in trying to clear everybody or whatever. Because the indication of them being in the water, for as the body was concerned and the evidence was concerned, the water would be the eraser that they was be defying on, be betting on to erase and create doubt and speculation in the case. So now you're seeing where more of these DEA THs are concerned. It's occurring somewhere, or they're dropping these, what's off in water. How many times you seen diving teams go and recover evidence where they have threw GUNs and all that stuff out in the middle of the oceans and all that kind of stuff? Even with Jarvis Butt, he led them back to what? And you had all these no name psychics and investigators and all this stuff. She by the grave site and she in the dump and this and this and this. But he still didn't reveal the exact whereabouts of that girl. So with all of this and whatever he did and so-called leaving a mark point where he uh allegedly Jarvis, well, he was convicted, where Jarvis Butts was concerned. And the only thing y'all don't have is a body. But if you really wanted to, besides the text messages and the things that they had to convict Jarvis, at the point that that girl could have wanted to get away from her family or something, because there are people in such case. We from the outside looking in, you can't see these things and how somebody fall in love with a minor or whatever, but they are still a person. You don't even dictate who you fall in love with. Some of y'all still scratching y'all head by dating somebody that you like, Lord, that's the worst mistake of my ever. And y'all adults. So as much as illegal as far as the law is concerned, there's still you still need to understand, because I can speak as that as a teenage mother and understanding when a grown man fall in love with you and he was still carrying that after 30 years. My daughter was he just died not too long ago. And he's sitting up here apologizing to me in court. That would be the last time that I saw him, the court date where they put a warrant out for his arrest, because the one after that, I never did check to see if he put, because I already, but for me not trying to get him in trouble at the court date, I just pleaded to him, because at the point where he told the judge that he was homeless and he had no way to pay anything or whatever. Because only thing on my mind is, because I don't hold nothing against him. I raised my daughter, and thank you, Lord. God gave me ability to be able to do that. So I knew either he was going to try to fake his DEATH, which some ways I be kind of like, because you don't put none past folks these days. He was affiliated with them people that was around the sheets and stuff. I told y'all that. Able to find me when I wasn't trying to be found. So stop doing your little analyticals thinking that things like this can't occur. And yes, they can. And just that fast, in a twinkling of an eye of a moment. So I'm just schooling you and giving you wisdom, because some of the even most abrupt things and reactions from people, especially with alcohol and drugs and all that kind of stuff, even with the picture with allegedly Nolan standing on the boat. Was he helping? I was looking at that. I was trying to see, wasn't he right there by the thing on the boat or whatever the case may be, that the motor thing or whatever the case may be, where he was bent on there? Was he getting sick by the sun or too much alcohol or whatever the case may be? Or did they pour it down his throat? Did they drug him with something or whatever the case may be? You don't know all that. So with them interfering in the investigation for as the body is concerned, and the toxicology reports and all these kind of things, that's why I said that's what God said. They were gonna tamper with certain things and keep it all like this so they could get it tossed out. Because these boys' future, the judge's future, all their futures is on the line. Because if it go beyond that, where they have no more control, that on the outside of that, somebody else able, the three-letter word start with an F, be able to take over, and they not able to no longer control the narrative, and just that one thing that God may reveal to bust it wide open. You see? So there go their careers, there go everything ends. Some of y'all don't think as parents. Y'all look from afar and you'll say, oh, that was me, that was me. I have seen my mom go through some things that was really, it really did. And it was really hurting for me to witness that, where my mom was concerned, because it was bad enough that we had a situation where our mom was on drugs for a little bit, and she tried her best to what she knew was best where my brothers was concerned. Um, and the fear that I saw, but she would rather that they would come here, where she was, to arrest the boys when they had got into trouble, rather than them to catch them on the street and in their life. I sat at the door, and it concerned me being a woman of God and a public figure, because I have no connections to any such thing as that. I don't put my hands to evil or any types of crimes and stuff. I disassociate myself as far as I can from anything that's in the company of any of those things. And I've been that way. But when the officers was talking to me at the door and the tears was running, they was starting to run down my face. I was trying to be strong. I was trying not to, or whatever. They came, they was looking for the eldest of my brothers. And like I told y'all, I don't lie. And the two officers, because one had went to the back door, one came to the front door. And when I answered the door, the guy, and he was looking at me. I already know that God had put it in my spirit when I went to the door to be expecting. And they was talking to me. And the guy, when the other man came from around the corner, because he noticed nobody wasn't coming out the back door or anything, the other one came around the thing, the house. And the other guy, the officer was questioning me. And what the officer said to me is, how you don't know anything about your brother's whereabouts or what they do if you're his sister. And I looked him in the face and I said, well, if you was a preacher who don't lie and your family know you don't lie, what crimes you think they're gonna come to you and admit to anyways? Because they already know they sister. And yes, they my brothers and I love them, but you think, no, I'm not going to jail for you. But everybody's not that honest. Cause see, I have children, I have grandchildren. I work my bazookas off to get to where I am. And truth be told, my mama and everybody gets to tell you, even before, and I sat up there and I prophesied, just like I prophesied to y'all on here before what the last 2 years that came in. And I said, if any of y'all out there, I'm telling y'all, this is the wrong time. But even when TRUM entered, I said, they're going to be throwing the book at you. Stay out of trouble. I warned the rappers. I warned Hollywood. I said God was coming down the line. And see, this is the problem with y'all. Y'all don't want to listen. And I kept telling them, getting out to the side of them. And I kept saying to my brother, I said, look, God bless you this time. He answered my prayers again. He answered our prayers. Find you a job. How many years you going to give these white folks for your life? It's time for you to change. It's time for you to do something different. And that's why the elders tell you, a hard head make a soft behind. Ain't like it was something foreign to them. And that's why I told y'all, whenever God tells me to be quiet about something, whenever he just moved me back from it and he completely disassociate me from family, friends, whoever the situation is, already know. Already know. And it's about to go down. Whenever he send me to you to warn you, and you do thereafter, when you stop hearing me say anything, you ain't got long, boo. You ain't got long. When I left here, y'all over here, these old dingbats over here doing cars and all this kind of stuff, trying to talk about, oh, and the people that did that way on Instagram. Child, these people hadn't even entered my goddamn mind. I had them planning that trip to leave and go because I didn't see my grandbaby in real life. I saw her born, but I've been there for all those. It makes sense. It wasn't no blues clues about it. Wasn't no broke in it or whatever. It was $4,000 that was set aside beforehand for my travel. When I was standing right outside my mom's house, I walked out the door where my mom was, took the phone call where the lady was concerned. We had just went, I took the money orders, I still have the receipts of everything that I did. The lady called me on the other line and she said, "We need you to come back up here." Yeah, she said, "You come back up here because we have the date where you can go ahead, you come on and get your keys for the house." It was me and my daughter. Because sometimes when I don't whatever, but when I went to go take care of business, my daughter was with me, and I told her, I said, sometimes I'm not feeling too well or something like that. So if my daughter come in, she said, "Okay, yes, ma'am, that's good," because she had called me to tell me my background check was clean, and that was right there. She said, "So, boom, we good to go." So she was like, there was some final things that they was doing where I could come and be ready to move in. But what it was, I was in the what you call it, the sensitive time period because it had took so long because what I was looking for, then I was still tossing because I had moved from a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, and everything full because now the girls going to college and all this kind of stuff or whatever. And I kept saying, well, I'm not married at this time or whatever the case may be. With me, in the indication of my stepdad, that was with my mom. My mom had to work, so I stood in. So that case, I moved back to Tampa. No, I've been in stable places 9 years, 10, 14 years, I think it was. The heck y'all talking about? I made the move. It's the same lady. She said, "I love you, and I don't want to. I will find a little property of mine if you want me to. You ain't ready because I met somebody which I thought was a real person. It was a scammer. That's how that happened. When them people did what they did on land. So I was already in position getting ready because my daughter up, she had my truck. I can take you outside right now and show you that what she did before she left, what my truck was concerned. So I had went on ahead and let it go, and I said, "Well, I'll just pay out of pocket to get it fixed," because she never gave us no answers to what happened to my truck. She ups hotel to another country. I hear the truck pull up fast in the yard and the door slammed. And God said, "Girl, look out the window." She done jumped in the car with somebody she done had to come from the other place to get her and her children. And she done booked it. You see how things take place? So it wasn't that she did anything wrong or anything criminal or nothing like that, but it's what she did. Because not about the truck, she was pregnant. And she just acts unseemly as if I don't know. When I had the conversation with her when she had moved into these condominiums. And I said to her, because it was a storm, I never will forget it. It was a storm that had came. And I was concerned and I was like, well, you and the girls or whatever. But what I was saying was a white community and it had the river that came through there. And that's why I told y'all when I went out there, I anointed the house and around the house and everything like God told me to. And why the thing, and I was asking God to send that storm that way. My truck and my car was sitting there. Even over there where the boys, it was boys, some white boys that was in a halfway house that was crossed. It was nice, a beautiful house right there. They had sat there. Nobody know that's what it was until that happened. They tried to mock me when they see me anoint the grounds and pray and send that storm and pray that the water didn't rise and flood our homes. And This is the Godhead in truth. My daughter tell you. Because I was so scared, and then daughter daddy, I wasn't talking to him. But he was concerned about us around there because he knew I stayed by the river. And they was expecting the storm surge to take all of that. So when God told me to do that and call that water, tell that water to go back into the ocean, the storm where the storm surge was concerned. And I'm gonna tell y'all, this is how good God is. The power lines from my house going across to the other house. It was a lady who was jealous of me. That was a white lady behind me. She watched everything I did, which I didn't do nothing. And I already knew she'll sit out there. She put lights on the back of her porch. She'll sit out there in the dark. And I mean, literally, she did not like that I had that house. And God told me, He said, when you look out that door, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. And I knew it was something. He said, God told me, He said, I'm going to move you. Because that house in front of you with them boys and that woman back there, God had already told me it's going to try to cause you a problem because you're a black. And she studied, saw her old tail back there on that goddamn porch. Her son came out there one night. I was coming from church or something. And I pulled up in my driveway. And she was back there on that porch on that thing. He turned the lights off. And he said, you need to leave that lady alone. And you need to come on in this house. When that storm came through there, it ripped this huge tree in her backyard and fell over in the yard and on the house of the person next door to her. It lifted the roots from that tree. Don't tell me what God won't do. The roots from the tree pulled up out the ground, lifted her house and they truck. God sent that here for a warning because she targeted me. When I looked over there, and I'm gonna show you, because when it hit through, it came the what was that? The tornado, the whatever, crap, hurricane. The way it came through, it was so intriguing. And how God planned it, He made sure nobody else suffered that. They had a bunch of branches and all that, and back there by the river and stuff like that. Nobody else's. My house, nobody else's. But how God had that thing to come through there and hit them people who targeted me. Them boys that mocked me. They was in the door and the storm was coming. They had their door open in their house. And you can hear the boy bump, rumbling out the door. But God showed me when I went out there and prayed. He said, I'm going to take that tree right there and I'm going to send them warning for what they did. That boy ran out the door while the thing, all the wind, they tried to move his car and God took the tree, boom, just like that. And I was still like, oh my God. Oh my God. He was shook. The next day, instead of them boys laughing, them white boys, yeah, they was over there waving, looking crazy. Like, oh my God. Because they heard me praying and exactly what I said. And I said, y'all think it's funny games are all funny games now, but you just watch God. When it came through there from the back part of what it did to back of your house, she was right behind me, but right over a little bit. And I still, with my drive through, my driveway was, I still had, it's a lot right there that was connected to my home. And that's when I downsized because the girls being leaving and stuff, I didn't want to stay in a huge house by myself. But then I was trying to get closer to my mom. So the lady who owned the house that I was moving from, because I was way away from my mom. So she said, I want you to come, Natalie, to this house. She said, you know I got you, I know you like the things to be nice. It was a Spanish lady moving out that house. And she said, I don't deal with, whatever, whatever. She said, but since then, you have been in my property for all these years. She said, don't even worry about it. Me and my husband is not worried about it. He already told me, go ahead, let you transfer to this property. So I was down the street, round the corner, so and so. But I did not want to live in the neighborhood my mama lived in. So with the way God did it, it worked, but I knew that I was getting ready to leave. What was prohibiting me from leaving was the fact that I knew it was a lot for me to have to travel so far, but I was really trying to get there when she first had the baby. But I kept being on YouTube, and YouTube showed everything about Houston and all those storms and the flooding and the crime and all that. So I didn't know that about it. I was just thinking, because, with Texas and all that, I wasn't thinking, y'all. I was just like, and I was just like, uh-uh. So as the time went on, before I knew it, like 3 years had done passed, and I felt so bad because I still had not met baby girl face to face. But every day, her mama, we FaceTime, and she got, used to her nana and everything and whatever. So eventually, at that point, and my daughter was like, Mom, there's no reason, unless you want to go back into a home. They already know what God had prophesied to me about being married, what God told me, everything. Um, and then my daughter being in the military. I have the text messages. She called me and she texted me. She already looked into it. She said, Mom, I really need you to let me know, get back with me, because my baby was telling me if you decided where you want to live. So by me and my daughter, my oldest daughter, already confirmed with one another by going into business together. She's good with me as far as ministry is concerned. She was supposed to be helping me find the business, teaching me about Texas where she lived there, yada yada yada. Then they knew me being in Florida, so they was trying to make sure that, even because she said she did tell me before I got there that she was going to eventually move. So it threw me in a, because I was like, I'm not equipped for that, to be moving around here and moving around there and da. She don't like to be still. She likes to go. She likes to travel. If she stays someone 1 year, whatever, that girl gone. You see? But that's not me. So it was like what happened to me really kind of threw me in a kind of frenzy or whatever, because I'm like, I love the place. She's showing me a little bit here and there in Texas. But just as soon as I was going to make the decision and say, well, I like what I'm seeing, by the time she let me, well, actually, before I experienced Dallas, I was teetering because I love the houses. I liked, because it was more of a country form than a city form. But I fell in love with Dallas, Texas. But the thing is, I know me and I know my nerves. Me having to jump on the interstate to drive everywhere I want to go, not happening. The girls is good with the GPSs and all of that stuff. Me, not so much. And the worst thing to me to be pulling up with the KKK, well, or something like that, and I'm gonna be in a whole panic, and them girls gonna have to come find me, get me, or something. So I was like, Lord, maybe it's just safe, like you saying, for me to just wait for my husband or whatever, and just save monies and all this kind of stuff or whatever, continue to do ministry, do it. What is wrong with that? What does that mean, you homeless? What does that mean, you poor? What does that mean, they hindered your money and all that? Where y'all come with all this vaccinating stuff from? It had nothing to do with it. And the whole basis, I wanted her to get a jump start on her career and do what she need to do. For she didn't have to be leaving my grandchildren with these church people and these different people that she knew. Because as I tell y'all over and over again, I am very protective over my grandkids. So I sacrificed being that I'm not married and I didn't have nobody to be accountable for as being in a relationship. I sacrificed that part because girls getting older, getting into middle school, junior high, and the baby just being born and all that. Boom. Okay, I can travel. So it was hard, but the biggest reason that I didn't jump up and move was because I told y'all just how connected I am with my grandson. So with me being picking him up from school, helping his mom, and what happened with her and her situation and stuff like that, it tore me apart. I cried even when I left that night. I cried. I was trying to keep anybody from seeing, but I was being torn in the inside. But I know I have other grandkids too. And because I want to make sure the kids were all right, make sure my daughter was mentally all right, make sure she was okay, not that nothing was wrong with her, but just because I know having all these kids trying to juggle all this and working, and she's a workaholic and working two or three jobs and doing this and that, I just wanted her to be in a space where, okay, mom's here. You ain't got to worry about nobody, nothing happening with these girls with my mom here. Okay? So upon talking to her, and she's like, cause she's the risk taker. She don't care. My baby jumped in her car, and she was like, just be ready. I ain't telling you when, no whatever. And boom. Next thing I know, my baby had done hit and gone I was. Okay? Because God knew I had to do it that way. Because if I kept on and then I was over there in my head by the plane, and there everybody was saying the same thing. Would you? And I get come there on the plane and they bring you back. I mean, all the stuff. And then I was thinking about my car and all the stuff, and then mommy and stuff like that. And I just had so much going through my head, and I'm like, God, okay. I just know I gotta do. And he said, "You gonna meet your husband while you're traveling or whatever." And I'm just like, oh, oh my, I don't want to go. So when I got there, I was happy to see they had a big old nice home, and the girls were fine. And my daughter, she was happy, and I got a chance to meet her spouse and whatever. I was in this big place and new to the traveling experience and all that kind of stuff. And I was in a beautiful place. The only thing that was going on at that point is that was the time that, and that is why. See, you don't know the sequence of events and why God do what He do. This ain't had nothing to do with stalking and what you call it, gang stalking and all that kind of stuff. The people, I wasn't stunting the people. God said He gonna handle them. So in the process of that, what happened? Her dad said before he paid 30 years in back child support to me, he didn't say it to the judge, but he said it and God heard it and God let me hear what he said. And God said, then it's set in stone. He said over his dead body, and there, when they put the warrant out for his arrest, here it is, not even 2 weeks later, they found him at work that he was telling them he was homeless, didn't have a job, and God took him right there at his job. He was still sitting in the goddamn lawnmower. And then you got these demons right here talking about, oh, I'm some kind of witch or something. It was my fault. And what? No, it was his fault. And he knew since I was a child, the same one was trying to put witchcraft on me, trying to unalive me, trying to unalive my baby. And God said enough is enough. I intervened when he had the heart attack. God was going to take him. And I sat there, asked my daughter, and I told her, I said, don't turn your back on your daddy, baby. Go to that hospital. And we sat there and we locked hands. I said, you're gonna be the what you call it for God. When you get to that hospital, that God gonna intervene that he don't die. It was then when she went, that's when they gave the boy the pacemaker. People like to come up with all sorts of scenarios, and just because of this and that. In the courts, if anything had to happen, the first thing y'all would be, oh, I told you and this and that, or she probably had that man unlocked because he owed 30 years in back child support. Some people's heart is just as pure, but y'all so evil, y'all can't see the good in nobody else. I never wish harm on none of them. I did what I had to do as a mother. I went years on end before the government could ever catch them for child support. It was God that paid my bills. It was God that taught me how to braid, taught me how to sell dinners, taught me how to work and get the financial needs. I was working two jobs at one time. Coming back home, taking my children, taking them to sports, taking them to this, taking them to that, side hustle, being able to do hair, all that kind of stuff. I was going to church, running in revivals, preaching, praying, all that kind of stuff. You say how somebody fit in the time of the day. I was running off for 44 minutes of sleep. One person, a young adult with four children, and not even four eyes from the military was helping me. But he was running about behind my tail though. So before you go judging somebody, you need to know what's really happening and what really did take place. Cause I ain't never chased no man. I ain't never been no butt kisser. My grandmama told me when I was a girl. That's why I say you can't say that as to where David said he said to say that his mama knew. Because my grandma always told me that when it came to my mama being in the situation, she said, whatever you do, Natalie, whatever you bring into this world, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Make sure you take care of it. And I did that. That's why my response to what my second oldest did was like that. Confirmation. I didn't go to college. I didn't finish school. I didn't do what I did. I put my life to protect my children, to keep my children from being sexually abused. So when you go to talking about me, understand why my life had to take shape the way it was and what I had to sacrifice to make sure they got to college, to make sure they weren't molested, to make sure the things y'all reading in the news didn't happen to my children, walking off my jobs, walking out of school, going to school as a teenager with a child. My mom was in the streets on drugs. Nobody helped me do nothing. And I didn't prostitute, lay on my back, go for men and all that stuff. God taught me how to be an earnest woman, a lady, and take care of my children. That they can grow up and see the struggle, and then I taught them how to be self-sufficient and independent. That's where you hear my tears. It ain't about me being sad. You just don't know my story. Ain't no man did jack for me, including my daddy, but caused me hell. I prayed and 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 prayed on the altar day and night for my mama. And he finally, after probably 9 years or so, finally took my mama off drugs to have some help. Where you see me at now and what I'm doing, you hear me being close to my mom. My mom is 60 something years old. There's things that I don't say, but there's things that I'm watching that I'm seeing. So, oh, forgive me that I love my mom so much that I'm willing to sacrifice that part of me that I'm not married at this point in time, and knowing that God is about to separate me, so she need to get her stuff together. Because no longer will God have me put my life on hold for everybody to keep doing what they're doing and want to try to treat me like a Hebrew slave when I'm the only one sacrificing, praying, crying out to God, standing in the gap, sacrificing this, sacrificing that. So she deserved to knock in her mouth when she said that. Because even me being there with her and her husband, God put me there. Because he knew they was finna come apart. And he put me there so I could be a comfort to her. When I went to my daughter, I did that court interview right there in that room at my daughter's house, that oldest one, when I first left Florida. And I told her, I said, baby, I'm gonna be honest with what God showed me. But God is getting ready to take your daddy up out of here. She'll tell you. I always called him and put them on here down to reveal to y'all that I ain't lying. I don't have to lie. I went on. When I told her, God said, you gonna understand what I'm doing. And not long after that, you gonna feel something lift up at everything God told me it happened. Took about 4 months, but that was something that's why I told y'all there's something about you having children with somebody, and when certain you know what is connect is spiritually connected to them and stuff like that. And that is what, oh man. All right. So let me, before this thing go off. So that is what ended up happening. She ended up having to fly back for her dad's funeral. That's why I said what I said the other night. It wasn't about me being evil or anything like that. And that's why I said, no, I would not have went to his funeral. But even then, there's some family members' funeral that I did not show up to. And I told y'all that previously, that my daddy's funeral was the last funeral that I attended, and God told me not to go to that. It was my dad's sister that begged me to go up there to see him one last time in his casket. Everybody else that passed away, I did not go to. My auntie. My auntie passed away. Another auntie passed away. Who was that? I don't even think I went to my grandma's funeral. It was something that happened with me spiritually, and God told me, don't go to nobody's funeral. So there, I was there with her during that time when God took her dad home. I was nowhere in, and notice how this happened. Now look how that I did things before he died, because we would have been in the same city. So nobody could connect me saying, "Oh, she did this, and she did that." Look what God did. All the time I delayed traveling, God moved me, distance me away from everything. Don't tell me what God gonna do. And I didn't even see it that way. That was not even, that was the first thing from my mind. And the last time, because the judge tried to help him, the second time that we had the conference, because we had to do it on Zoom. The judge got angry because he see that he had been duped by my baby daddy, which I knew that was gonna happen. So what was happening is her daddy, because he moves that way. He'd been doing that for years. But what was happening is the pacemaker is what was keeping him from being able to travel as what he was trying to do. And what he was doing to stay up under the radar where the government couldn't find him where it was paying child support because his daddy died some years ago. So what he was doing is he was getting jobs and stuff and he was working up under his daddy's name. So y'all be acting like y'all be mission in action, baby. Y'all don't know what the fuck these people go through just for little stuff like that. He went to the links as if he'll have somebody to take me up out of this world just so he didn't have to pay child support with his stupid self. Because they still would have obligated him to pay child support even if my daughter was the one to get it. I told them I didn't want it. I have the messages where I contacted him online and told him I had received a letter that they said that they was uh, informing me that they was doing further pursuit of him child support, whatever. I showed him the letter, and I took pictures of everything, and I told him he was going with this lady. That lady was following me on Instagram, and that's how I contacted him. And she said, yeah, and she's like, he followed you too. And I say, what? She said, yes, he follows you too. And that's when he contacted me from his page. And I said, I told them that you're not obligated to pay whatever from this child support because my daughter is already like, she overgrown. Okay. I wasn't thinking about that could be money or whatever because what they told everybody while everybody talking about I was broke, they went around and told everybody he said it right there because she's doing better than me. Career, house, car, the whole nine. And that's what he had in his head. Why should I give her anything when it seemed like she living? What does that have to do with anything when you got a 15-year-old girl pregnant and you was 20 something years old, already married, in the military? So God said, no, he wasn't going to let that pass. And the same thing with the other one, even though me and he was friends. But look how God does things. But he made sure in this instant, nobody could say she had something to do with nothing, 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 nothing. Because I had already been gone, didn't know where his whereabouts was or nothing. The only thing I knew when the papers came and the whole thing came about with court. What happened when I contacted him and told him that I had wrote the people, they have their own file, everything. That's still public records. And they wrote me back that we could close this case if you wanted to. Them was the exact words on that paper. And he texted me. He said, "Wow, Nat," and he said, "I'm sorry." That was that he. I said, "I'm sorry," and I opened up to him for the first time in my life, being an adult. And I said to him, "I feel like you robbed me of my childhood. I feel like you took my virginity. I feel like it's all right there." And he said, "I'm sorry, Nat. I didn't know you felt that way." Well, I'm glad at least you was able to say something to me. And he said, "I'm sorry, Nat. It's things just start going so fast, but you always know, like I said, I always love you. That was real. That wasn't nothing, whatever. But you said you didn't want nothing else to do with me. But my ex-wife was causing so many problems and da 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 da, and it's just it was so much. But anything he had, she was getting the upper hand by either still going back sleeping with him or being able to enforce more for as the law was concerned concerning him than me because she was his ex-wife. See, I could have got it put in prison. Everybody talking that trash because I was very much underage. As far as the statute of limitations and all that, yeah, he could have went to jail. He could have went to prison. My only concern with my children's father always ever been that my children would know their fathers. I never attacked them and went after them for money or any such thing. I disappeared for a whole 5 years. You know, I know where I was. I could get my mom, sit up here and tell y'all, I moved right out there by McDill Air Force Base. I didn't tell my kid's father. I didn't tell the rest of them. And my mom said, Yo, that child have been out here looking for his daughter. And I was like, oh, well. And my mom said, Natalie, don't do that. Please don't do that. I said, I ain't say you couldn't see his child or nothing like that, but we can make arrangements some other kind of way because he got to be with me or go through me to see her. All he need to do, I can bring her over there and let them spend time with one another or whatever the case may be, and come back over there and pick her up. So it's a lot of stuff. That's why you see God giving me the wisdom to help some of y'all narrate with the relationships and all that kind of stuff. Because don't be talking about, well, you ain't got no choice but to see that person. Even the courts have it assigned that y'all have a mediator sometime when it comes to y'all with visitation rights and all that kind of stuff. Stop your lying. You just want to be made an important part of that person's life. You don't want to let go, or you still want to cause problems and all that. When a woman don't want babies from a man, she'll do what it takes not to have babies. I was 9 years running this man, me and him, whole relationship, right in the same house, and all this is it. He was 30 to never, oh yeah, you gonna have my baby. You gonna have my baby. He was stealing the birth control pills. He was the whole nine. And I was like, look, and baby, he can steal 2 packs. And even in our release, when it was, we wasn't supposed to be taking birth control and all that kind of stuff, being Christian folks, and all that kind of stuff. Uh-uh. I seen the fact, I was like, no sir. And he was getting mad because sometimes he would have to take my car um to work, and he'll wait till I leave the house to go get girls or stuff like that, and he go to rambling through stuff to see whatever he was finding them birth control pills. So he was he was trying to trap me into that's how he ended up getting the baby with that girl next door to my mama. Telling you. So it missed me and went to the situation with her because she trapped him. But he was wishing on he was doing all kind of stuff, and I was like, I told his mother. She said, "Oh, he ain't finished having babies." I said, "Well, he ain't getting there for me." She said, "None of that." She said, "One thing about you, you as the years was going by," she said, "I tell you, old girl." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." Oh no, I made no, mm, 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 mm. I was serious, but he was not liking that. All the babies he was getting, well, I was like, uh, uh. But he was going through all this. People do all kind of things. Y'all just really Be forgetting because at these times y'all not going through the same things and stuff like that as those people. Instead of putting yourself and understanding what it is to be in other people's shoes. Because yes, things do happen. A lot of stuff be seeming comical, but I had experience. I had to go through a lot of things from a teenager on. All y'all be talking about degrees and all this stuff. I didn't even have a childhood. Even though I was put in private school, even though I was able to be in modeling and stuff like that. Top. I even won the thing for the national spelling bee for my kids. I was put in a predicament that my grandmama took me out of school. That was a life changing situation for me. And I never will forget it. It stuck with me. And it seemed like in my life, all those points in my life where I was supposed to be in a public place, in the public eye, and these triumphs in my life, it seems like my family was more ugh, than anything. And those things there, I was good at 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 jumping hurdles. I was good at running. I was really good. My coach wanted me to be one of the leads in the thing, just like the thing with Nolan and all that. Then I end up pregnant, set up by my grandmama, a grown behind man. All these people trying to stop my life in some type of way. And here it is, a bunch of thieves and lies talk about, oh, she had to eat. Oh, it's not fair the way she lived. Oh, it's not. You know what is. What my baby daddy do? He don't know nothing. His mama was still spill food in his behind. And the same thing he was expecting me to do with his grown tail. Ain't nobody do nothing, Jack. Oh, we all got the same opportunity and the same hours of the day and this and whatever. Not to mention, almost 15 or 20 of those goddamn years, I was bowed over bleeding 3 months, 6 months, a whole year. In and out the hospital, blood transfusion, all of that. And raising 4 children at the same time. What you talking about? Can barely walk to my bathroom. Doctors gave me up to die. But oh, everybody know everything about me. Terrorists know everything about me. Everybody know everything about my life. Oh, people know this and people know that. You don't know jack. You wasn't there. Every time my mama turned her back, uncles and granddaddies and all that trying to molest me. A baby girl, a child with a big old heart. No matter what people did to me, my heart always been so big that I forgive just like that and just go on. I'm 40 some years old. Still every day people look me in my face and they never come to me and say when they know they molested me. Scared to say they sorry. Family. And I look out for them. I pray for them. So no, I don't need nobody's approval on here. I don't need the church approval. I don't need nothing. I move by the veins of God and the way He leads me, what He want me to do, what He want me to treat. You may not understand a lot of things. He said, "He that wins souls is wise." He gave me the communication, and he teach me on every level, on every platform, whether it's TikTok, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, on how to connect with the people in the atmosphere that he wants to reach. So no, I don't have to listen to that secular music and whatever I'm saying or whatever. That don't make no goddamn tarot reader. He know what it's taking to reach this generation. Without me going to the club, without me turning the church into the club, without me this and that or whatever. What is lyrics from a goddamn song? That don't make me no hypocrite. What your lying, cheating, disgusting behind that's hiding it from the public, swindling everybody from the church offering to the tithes and all that. What you doing? Why you want to be a heckler? Want to talk about five scribes and Pharisees? Anytime you set your mouth and you use the word of God to tear down anybody else, and especially another believer, you become a scribe, and a Pharisee. You become a hypocrite. And the worst ones of y'all, because you got people believing this old lie about grace, and if they just, oh God, that don't matter. You just go to church, and as long as you know that with with what your heart is concerned, then that's all you need to worry about. Well, tell that to Paul, because for grace to be the end all be all, he would have had to look over what Paul did. He definitely would have had to look over what Judas did. Come on now. So if that's the case, what happened? No, we talk about the Old Testament with Sodom and Gomorrah and all that. No, we talk about up in here with the New Testament. And Paul the one introduced y'all to grace. Come on now, let's preach on it then. So how he fall up under that same judgment and was judged to death by God? Because he said, when you sin, there be no more sacrifice. He said, if I freed you and you reconcile with God, now that you understand the principles of God, now that you believe on God, his truth, his word, he's not talking about a mistake. He's talking about backsliders. He's talking about people who are willingly out here living bastardized life and preaching and teaching it to people. Yes, that's the word of God. He said, you either sons or you bastards. So no, they ain't cussing. That's the word of God. So all these things come in account. And y'all still be trying to convince yourself and lie to yourself because you don't want to live right. And you get evil and mad because that demon in you is telling off on what you're really living, because you get mad when you see somebody else really living what they preaching. So let's identify the problem. And it don't seem to be the Bible or religion. It seems to be you. That demon you living with, lying, self-sabotaging your salvation every day. From the pulpit to the divination platform. He told us to preach to the world, to the sinners. And you church folk more attacking each other and preaching on each other than anything out there in the world. When he said them at his home need no position. That's called the five and the scribes and the Pharisees. Got these Negroes sitting up in the pulpits talking about they preachers to to somebody getting their penises cut off. What kind of mess is that? Jesus ain't gonna get no penis cut off, wear no dresses, and no tattoos, or wear obey the goddamn dress. You don't even see Irish men around here switching with the kilt on. They know the difference between their manhood. Now you sitting up there, these old witches sitting up here with their bald heads up, with these big old crocodiles that they got their neck, putting on lipsticks and high heel with these big 12 shoes and 13 and whatever, talking about they a woman trapped in a man body. Oh, the female part of me. What female part of you? All this masculine, feminine. I'ma call it ace of spade and I'ma call it that. You ain't running me nowhere. I'ma preach what God said. I don't care who don't like it. Because that's what he called us to do. So you better go somewhere and see can they plant your sack and your body part back on to you. Talk about scientists and moons and retrogrades and all that kind of stuff, whatever. They find out how to put your penis back on though. Then you want to sit over here and try to critique me and all that. You better be day by daily bread, hoping it is what you said about grace, that he forgive your behind from over here getting these tattoos and all this kind of stuff y'all doing and know this is what God said not to do. While you over here talking about I judge men. Well, the saints shall judge the world. So I stand in the authority that God gave me, not by my opinion of you, but by his word. I ain't judge you, his word. I came to show you love and teach you to help you. It's up to you whether you receive it or not. So I don't know who done came on here because I didn't come to do all this. And that's why I be telling y'all better beware. Because God is not playing. And he be telling me that. Some of y'all finna see people get gone up out of here around y'all for the end of this year. I'm telling y'all. These preachers, these people that keep coming up against y'all, I told y'all the same thing with them tarot readers and the platform, and God is very much so. You see the news headline coming more and more, talking about how these people using witchcraft and all this kind of stuff. That's why I pray and I put it out there to believe God that Trump or somebody put it back in there because it was once in the law that they did not tolerate readers any type of divination that did associate with what God established and ordained by law. They were not allowed to publicly practice their practices. While y'all over here talk about they demonized terror. No, God demonized it. I heard a big old thump. Every devil is a lie. So you might as well gear up, honey. If you're gonna come on here, you're gonna be willing and open to receive what the Lord said. If you don't, get on off of here. I'm not here for followers. I'm not here for all that. I want to see God people heal. I want to see God people set free. They're not my people, they're God's people. I don't care if it's 2 followers on here, no followers on here. I'm gonna preach. I'm gonna teach. I'm gonna live and I'm gonna stand for the truth. If you don't like it, hightail it. You don't need a reader to tell you that. If you're searching for love and you're in the wrong place, honey, I ain't got time for nobody to waste my time, be playing no games with me. And just to show you still going to readers and stuff, I done put the word of prayer in that God will take y'all out. Let's see what reading you gonna get then. He'll call all your finances to swivel up, dry up, Because it don't take all that to introduce yourself to nobody. It don't take all that. That's violating my privacy. Put another credit report, driver's report. I call judgment in the name of Jesus. And if you don't obey the word of the Lord, that God will take you up off this earth. And I'm not playing. I done had it. I done been quiet long enough. You don't tell me what I need to say and what I don't need to say. God opened my mouth to speak. Ain't no goddamn what them shock was nothing. God controlled this. I don't know who y'all think y'all are. I've been a powerful woman of God. You ain't heard me or bring nobody on here to test the not even a 2% of the things that I witnessed God do. That people have come to me. These people, that's thousands and millions of followers have been in my house. I have prayed for them and prophesied over them and saw them become rich. In the middle of the day, noonday prayer at my house. Come in, prophetess Natalie, sister Natalie, pray me through. And I never reveal their secrets. I never attack these church people. Same people talked about me in church. I babysitted their children while they went out when I pushed them toward getting degrees to become nurses, to become get their businesses. They driving Mercedes and laughing at what I was driving. Don't you dare! You don't know what I've been through. Nobody gave me nothing. I sat in church where they talked about me and I heard them and laughed at me. Being jealous. And I still went out my way praying for them. One of the first ones on the scene that something happened to them. Some of y'all be online thinking y'all doing nothing. Y'all ain't doing nothing. You can't even stand the heat like that. You still over here trying to turn everybody else against church. I showed up year after year after year after year. Why? Because I wasn't serving the preacher. I wasn't serving the church, four walls of the church. I was serving God. He disciplined me. He built me because he knew he called me to be who I am now, that I may lead and be faithful and honorable in his presence, making the sacrifice. I couldn't be in the mansion. I could have been in that. It's plenty of things. Football player tried to marry me. All this stuff, raffles and all of that. I turned it all down. For God, I live, and for God, I die. Let me see you do it. Can you go through what I've been humiliated, laughed at, talked about? Can you do what I did and still hold your head up? Hmm. You can't stand for somebody to mention your name. Thank you, baby. Thank you for joining. Prophetess Natalie. Forgive the hype this, but that's how the spirit moves. You may hear me calm like this here. If I go up in the spirit, just adjust your what your thing here is, the value. Okay? I love you. Ain't no harm, no condemnation, no whatever. Whatever comes out, I have to address it. Don't matter if you're GAY or whatever. I love you. Still the same. There is now, therefore, no condemnation. But here's the key. This is why we preach to those. He describes who he's talking to those that walk upright. That means you're a believer. You saved. You born again. That walk upright before the Lord. Amen. So that means there's a dying world of sinners. Nobody have time to be out here debating church folks among church folks. Jesus equipped them and he sent them out to be soul winners, fishers of men, not to sit up and fight, lie, slander, gossip, and bring contentions against one another. That's your focus. And the focus should be on in every message, not the devil, the demon, even the divination platform. We have to teach what we have to teach, but your focus should be on God. For the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Go into all the world, preach the gospel, warning them that their soul is in danger of hellfire. Repent. After that, we're not responsible. He said, know the truth, and the truth shall do what? It shall make you free. Our hands is clean. The rest is on you. People don't like to be told the truth. They say they do, but they don't. Y'all don't want nobody telling you that you need to come out of sin. You don't want nobody telling you that you need to stop sleeping around. You don't want nobody. We didn't when we was out there. We didn't want nobody telling us that either. So we understand very clearly. We grown. We gonna do what we want to. What you mean? So if I can hide up under grace and say that, oh, that's the case, whatever, and right there, the word of God tell you, one time I weep at your sin. So even God get tired at some point. We was taught that God don't ever get tired, because what can separate us from the love of God? That don't mean God don't get tired. Well, don't we love? I love my children. Sometimes I get tired of the attitude. You heard me express right here, but I love them with all my heart. But at some point, instead of letting you drag me through life, if you want to go, I gotta let you go. So God had to teach me that. The detachment. Boom, gone. Baby daddy, whoever. Because at the end of the day, you need to understand. Because if you don't, that's what they going to do, drag you. I realized through seeing death after death after death and watching people. You build up money, you build up wealth and riches, houses, cars, all these things. You die. All they do with their money grow themselves, waiting on you to die. Hopefully, you die before them if they in your will or your whatever. They do the Tupac. Pour out a little look on the homie. You ain't even cold in the ground yet. They done already put your stuff on the market and everything. You went through like all our ancestors and all of that, forefathers, grandmothers, and all of that. Left us all these things so we didn't have to be vagabonds, that we was left without nothing. They worked off the sweat of their back. Y'all be complaining, but look what they had to do going through slavery and all of that. And the best your children, grandchildren, great great grands can do, oh, that ain't up to date. So let us go ahead and sell this property. They never think what was put into that. Ma Julia, 100 years into her family. When she died, the first thing her daughter did is she robbed her siblings, only giving them $9,000 apiece. She inherited over 1 point something million because her mama had them properties that now they forced her out because they knew, but they had to pay her because she had owned them properties. Sister died. aunt died or whatever, she kept those properties. She had a whole block. And now you go right there in Tampa, Florida, Tampa Street or whatever. Right there where y'all see the Riverwalk. Julian's mom owned all those properties. That woman had so much, and when she would talk to me, I used to be like, wow. And God showed me, I said, Julian, God showed me your twin brother and you. It was a gate over there across the street from their house on one of their properties. Confirmation. I said, God showed me your brother coming, and y'all were crying. And I told Julian, I know you love your sister and all that, and I'm just, I'm not trying to start nothing between y'all. But I told him, I said, I seen y'all being very upset. That's why your sister, he was just somebody I was dating, and we were supposed to be getting married. But I wanted to take care of his mom. That's how close of a bond that we had. But the sister ran in to make sure that none of them was able to do that, and everybody else was doing their own thing anyway. Didn't nobody wanna whatever. Well, she had intimate conversations with me before she passed away, which let me know this, that, or whatever. Just like the Ruth story with Naomi. That's the position that I was in. And I expressed to Julian, I really love my Julian. I have enough room in my home. She can have her own room, everything. I'm gonna make sure she eat. I'm gonna make sure she's taken care of, the whole nine. So I don't have a problem with the exes and their mamas not liking me. They missed out on a show enough daughter-in-law. Because you don't get that every day. If he had stood up as a man and say, I'm gonna fight for my mama, I would have stood right with him and fought with him so we can get his mama. It ain't never been in my heart to do evil against people. For me to come out some kind of way on somebody, they had to provoke me. They really had to do something to me. They just kept on, kept on, kept on, kept on, kept on. Even when I would fight in school, that's why they used to think I was scary. And then when I got loose, then everybody, oh, don't mess with her. Because people just want to be left alone. Leave people alone. So understand, these things can transpire and take place. People are watching us, y'all. All of this stuff on social media, I struggle every day not to close down these platforms because I love God and I love y'all. I love his people. I want to see people saved. I can't attest for other pastors and preachers and all that stuff and the church hurt that y'all have. You even see me sit up here and apologize to y'all. But every church hurt, everybody y'all experienced that did something of the sort to y'all. I didn't do it. You persecuted me for something I know nothing of. I didn't cut you. I didn't wound you. I didn't do nothing. I'm just preaching you the truth to help heal you of the wounds that was dealt to you. Because if God did it for me, he can do it for you. I never come on here and say I'm better than somebody else and da da da. And yes, I did expose that lady for what she did. Because you ain't see how she was on there talking about people and whatever, and they be the main ones talking about, the type of church we go at, oh, that's judgmental and all that, whatever. But she was saying that where her non-negotiables was concerned, and she was saying about how they pushing makeup and all that kind of stuff. Because see, some of us, this is the thing, and that's how the Satan set the vision. So we have the same beliefs, but y'all have titles of denominations. Is this where the wars come in? Instead of y'all just focusing on your relationship with God, y'all come over here with all these denominational and this who make right and that's the right, and then Christians got to be evil and the Muslims is this, and then the Catholics over here And they're over here being pedophiles and all this, that's the bus stuff, all this kind of stuff. You see? When it has to do not with religion, but evil people. Just as in the Garden of Eden, they turned from being people of God to evil people by doing what? Entertaining what God said was forbidden. Just period. Religion was right now established with what? Adam had a relationship with God. It was God, family, church. That is the umbrella of God. There was sickness, there was no pain, there was provided for, they was covered, and all of that. None of this other stuff started happening until they sinned. And there God cursed them. Being the first humans, it makes sense. He cursed humanity. He knew that whatever came from that womb, being spiritually connected, God knowing all that, because that's what would lead to him destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. So history repeating itself all over again. So now we see now modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Go close your family up in your house. Here it is, the gay folks, the governments, and all this kind of stuff knocking on his door. Lot, give us your children. All the pride thing during the election and all that was established. Them trying to reach children. All this stuff opening up for the pride thing, and instead of curriculum, they had gay people going there teaching your children how to twerk. What in the name of Jesus? But you people sit up here and talking about judgmental. When we sitting up here looking at this news every day, our children is confused. They dying like flies. Ain't making it to see 25. And you sitting up here acting like your eyes closed. No girls died. Ain't even making it to 15. Being trafficked. Y'all being so nasty out here with these men and stuff. Y'all don't care. Y'all just toss these children all kind of stuff in the internet and all that. Then y'all want to sue the YouTube folks and all those kind of stuff. When you want leaving your children unattended. Y'all done see me. I be in here talking to y'all. What you see me do? Go in there, go to the kitchen or something, and his mama be sitting right there. I look over there in my grandbaby thing, and I watch to see his reaction to stuff and what he listened to, and I ease right on back across it or whatever case may be. I don't even like cartoons and stuff no more. But just for the sake, but just for the sake of And I'm sitting over here all in the Blues Clues things and just saying, whatever that thing is, I forgot that Pop was a certain age and then mess around and the thing came on and I went to hide to his mom. I said, oh Jesus, you see this? Thing go flow across there and they tried to everything, whatever. And I thought the little blue thing meant the thing was a darn male character. And come to find out, Blues Clues is a girl. So when the Lord revealed that to me, then it started, when I posted it, then it started circulating on the internet. And everybody was like, I always thought Blue was a boy. And I was like, Lord, I thought I was the only one. Then they started putting this thing in. They introduced in Blue Schools these children to the pride and the rainbow thing. And I said, I, you gotta be kidding me. So I typed in monster trucks and I knew because my grandbaby liked Pacific things, and with them having Down syndromes and stuff like that, or whatever. So when I did turn him on to, because his mama take him to the what that thing is y'all go to when y'all go to the monster trucks in real life and stuff. She's really good, mom. She for him to be a boy, she just really I love it. The connection that they have, and she take him to whatever. And I always want to go to the Monte Shots. He over there, he having all kind of fun. They videoing Nana and Terry, and I was just like, oh, I always wanted to go to the monster truck or whatever. And he just come back, room, 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 room. And that is that. See how excited I get because I love my grandkids. So if it took for me to travel, to sacrifice whatever because of what I know personally and everything, just to make sure that my family is okay, whatever, how does that make me a bad person? How does that make that I don't have money? How does that make me be homeless? How does that make any of these things? Like for real, people, come on now. And why is it your business? If you can't help, then go somewhere and shut your mouth. And just like I said with the lady, you put that on the internet. Everything on the internet is scrutinized, is ostracized, is picked apart, or whatever. The whole nine, right? I ain't pick you apart, but I showed you you. No, I wasn't being judgmental. Led by God, I showed you you. The same way you sat up there, but you judged other influencers. So the intentions is what God look at. That's what he mean by the heart. Because y'all do. Y'all go marry these white men and people with money and stuff like that. Y'all start forgetting. Your little behind came from over there, Africa, sturdy, and you still got this little car that you tapping around in or whatever. I'm just saying, I'm not judging, I'm just telling you. So what you saying out your mouth that's hurting other people feeling, but when somebody expose you to you, now you want to call them judgmental. No, God is putting a mirror before you, showing you you. My flaws or whatever the case may be, I come right here. My next podcast was gonna indicate the same thing because I sat up here and I was thinking about it and I was saying, all to say it was something I said, I think about the terrorists or something. It wasn't about them, but I was talking to y'all and I was showing y'all something. And remember how I told y'all like all of those people who kept in the hidden account that I had in TikTok, and I said how they all kept showing up like the divination people or whatever, and I knew it was because I saw them before. And at first, I did not block them, but I wasn't thinking. So I said, oh my God, I got to go back and repent to the people. And I got to tell them because I didn't think about it, but the Holy Spirit brought it to me. So he said, they may not know who you are, but if God attracted them to your spirit to follow you, and they not knowing that you are you, that is you, you know? So what God saying by he is drawing them out of that field that they in, he's saving them out of that. So me not thinking because the lady came on there doing a ritual or something and somebody else came up whatever and I was like because he did tell me so I wasn't all the way wrong. So the Holy Spirit said that he said you wasn't all the way on, you wasn't wrong. I just wanted you to be aware, you know, because you don't want to stay in the way of sinners, you know. So he brought it to my attention and I said, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. So I was like, okay, I'm so sorry or whatever, you know, because they don't know that it's my page. So that says a lot. If all of them, if they've been exposed to the gospel in that way, that God can deal with them, you know, because that is the purpose, not condemning. That's why he say, he that winneth souls is wise. Because God teaches you how, he teach you how to fish. Like I said, you may be somebody who came out the street. And he'll teach you how to get out there. Dietrich Haddon, he good with that. He good with being able to go out there and witness and whatever. He's not, even though he's a celebrity, he doesn't care how he look. He don't care about all. He's over all that. So he'll hit the street with him and his wife. And see, that is what God looking for. Y'all will troll people and talk about people all day long. But that is what God is looking for. So it's like real. How many of y'all get out there and witness to people? Y'all scared to do that. Y'all walk past people in Walmart, daycares, all that. Y'all never share God with people. But yet you claim God to be in your life. You ain't even got to be loud as me. You ain't even got to do what I'm doing. You don't see me behind the pulpit. I told you, God took me out for a season. He didn't tell me to ostracize the church and abandon the church. But I understand that I am a part of the church. I don't have to be in a physical building. I ain't trying to convince you of that. Because the whole whether you in the building or not, you better make sure your soul is right with God. So what comes in the arguments that y'all be presenting is only the mere fact that some people might not have opportunity to go to a church. But see, y'all think God is stupid. Like you don't know the difference between you shaving your whole head off for no purpose at all to prove to the church that that ain't this and that and this and that, and you're just gonna be rebellious. So he called you a rebellious house. So when he get to whooping your butt, then you understand your rebellious house brought that up on you. While you trying to fight against the church for preaching the gospel that God written the letter to us to preach. He knows the difference between somebody having cancer and alopecia and all this kind of stuff. Well, y'all wear enough wigs and everything else. That shouldn't be a fight either. Y'all fussed about the man of God, the apostles preaching, the woman should cover her head when she prayed, coming to when she at church or whatever. Y'all out here wearing bonnets and all this stuff like Auntie Mammy. But you go to church and argue with the preacher about everything that God said. Now who wrong? But you don't want to go get your dusty self in order. Still declaring that you right and you wrong. That's two left feet. Trying to walk, stumbling all over the place because you're wrong. And the only thing that is, we have to walk in love and let love continue being brothers and sisters of Christ. Why? Because we understand that it's not you, it's the influence behind what you're doing and your actions, which is what? Them spirits. But except God hold a mirror, which is the word of God, up to you. That's why he said the word of faith needs to be preached. And the prayer of faith shall heal the sick. He said, I come. Them that is told need no physician. But he came for the sinners. That's the only reason this sinners was allowed Jesus. And every time you hear it mentioned, it says that that Jesus understood. He was able to perceive their heart that they were ready to make change, to repent, to change their life. Peter didn't stay a cusser and a fighter. Neither did David. God changed their name where the covenant was concerned. You will see where Simon became Peter, where Paul, Silas, whatever, he changed their names. Covenant sons and daughters, meaning they went from being sinners to believers. Sarah's name was changed to Sarah, covenant. Abraham being the father, being blessed after the order of Abraham. So he was Abram when they made the Ishmael and the mess that they did. When they entered into the covenant where the blessing of God resides, his name was changed to Abraham. Oh, don't play with me, baby. Talk about how many times you done read the Bible. Because he ain't just give me the book to read. He put it on the inside of me. And that's the teaching that he's trying to get you to. Because whether they ever give you another Bible, the word of God, God's spirit of truth should be on the inside of you. That's the lie detector. That's the revealer. That's the revelation. That's the wisdom. That's why he said you must be born again. So if I don't do nothing else, I'm going to preach the truth. And if God give me the strength, I'm going to live out exactly what I know God called me. He ain't failed me then, and he's not going to fail me now. So know that I love you. I already put the things up here, the confirmations. There's still certain things out there, certain disasters about to take place. I'm prophetically going to shift me over there. Certain disasters about to take place. Y'all need to be careful when it's coming to that, but do not panic when it comes. I told you, I prophesied here. It's been a couple of years now. He said it's in the soils, in the soils. You will read even in the Bible, the Bible where God talked about what was happening even in Joseph's time during the famines and things that came up. This is not the first time this stuff is happening. He tell you you're gonna hear rumors of wars, earthquakes, all this that's happening. These are the signs of the time where God is telling us the nearing, the ending, or whatever. That don't mean now. He said these are the beginnings of what? The birth pains. You will see that all these things are happening. Rumors all these things happening with families, of the mother-in-laws and the daughters, and all this kind of stuff. All of that is in the Word of God, and these things must happen. The shifts must take place. All the things you heard me show y'all about the heat, about of this stuff. All of this stuff been taking place that where y'all waiting on aliens to invade us, to explode the planet. No, it's this heat. If y'all paid attention this year at the heat, it's on a whole new something. With rain, with whatever. Ain't nothing subsiding this heat. I told you how God took me into that vision and he showed me, and down the way when I came across that trailer and then it showed up in the news that what I saw was the police officer got exposed that he was having sex in the back of his patrol car. It came to pass. And I said when God took me that I leaped over that trailer or that truck, that's when they found all those people in the back of the trafficking, the folks and stuff. Then all that stuff that happening with them people with California catching on fire. I told y'all when I seen the palm trees and the street, and I said all I smelled was burning flesh. All this stuff started happening and stuff. I told you how God took me up and showed me judgment being in the land. Gotta hurry up before the stage. He took me up and he showed me in the waters how the boats was gonna be sinking. He told me that it will be the plane and the helicopters that will collide. All you seeing now in my line is in the news. Told you just recently with the buildings falling, I seen fire exploding. I see that the war was not going to stop. It's still happening. No matter what your president said, it's still happening. I'm not a lying prophet. What I said about the president's son is in the news now. And it had nothing to do with me not liking Mr. President. I love him just like I love anybody else. You're going to make war with people when everything don't go, but just like I told him, everybody. You cannot please everybody. That's why the woman president would not work. You cannot please everybody. God looks for us to have leadership that regardless whether you're not there to be liked. That's why he warned Mr. President, you can't be around here just getting into stuff where God to put things into place, trying to pardon people. God done put them there for a reason. You see? So that's it. I'm not here to be telling nobody what to do. I'm not here to try to condemn nobody and telling you don't love God and that this. I have to stick to the message. What God revealed, He revealed. If I don't know you, how am I attacking you? I don't know you. I know what God said, and I stand on that foundation and His word and Him to be truth. So I don't predict a thing. I speak the mind of God. I speak what He say, just like every other true preacher or believer. You don't have to be wearing those titles for God to use you. My grandchildren prophesy. They are all prophets. The same anointing y'all see on me. All of my children. I have a record right now. I could go on my phone and show you. I did show y'all on one of the other podcasts briefly. And I did want to put it out there because I want them attacking me and targeting me. But me and her had the vision at the same time. And then in the vision that I revealed to y'all, my uncle ended up in the hospital. Exactly what God showed me. I told you about the pregnant person and all that kind of stuff. And even I could go back and show you where Nolan Wells in the prophetic that I was, that it would denote that that's what God was saying. And I told y'all gonna hear about somebody else, the being fired, all that stuff that I revealed, and this stuff hit new left right. I can't believe it. They let me get back on the live. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Well, I looked down and seen that the phone came back on because it went dead. Um, and I was planning on just doing another live to tell you guys what happened and whatever. But since hopefully it don't cut off again. Since we got it back on here, and I knew by the time I started prophesying into all of that, most definitely, 'cause we know how it happens. So y'all don't get discouraged, new people and stuff. It wasn't. It was not intentional. But this phone be giving me so many problems, you guys. So I love y'all, and just keep me in your prayers, okay? Um, well, he should have bought me some to eat. Hold on, let me get on here and make sure y'all find it. I don't know if I should. Okay. Can y'all hear me? All right. So I was just making sure we on here and everything. But what God is saying, the shift that we're seeing now and being able to follow out the signs and understand what God is doing, more than just looking for all these signs, y'all, be aware. God is preparing us for what's to come. And these things have been warning year after year, year after year, year after year, year after year. It just like a circular repetitive thing. But people are not paying attention to the things that's happening and the things that's going on. There's a lot of things that's coming to the forefront, to the limelight, secrets being revealed. Yes, these next 3 years, you finna see God pulling things out. I mean, yes, secrets, things that officials, dirty officials, things that have went back years and years, years, even some of us in our childhood and stuff. God is revealing these things, and these things will be revealed. Justice is going to come, even if some of the people have passed away. There's things that God is doing. He's revealing. The end is not yet. Um, some things, some of us right now, like just like I say with me and the longevity of things I've been waiting on, God's promises to be fulfilled where my life is concerned. This is the space a lot of you are in as well, where God is um, restoring, reviving. He's healing. He is confirmation. He is coming in and redeeming the time. Okay, that's why babies are still being born. That's why, but it's a lot of spiritual warfare and a lot of attacks that are going on. I was sitting and he was letting me know. Um, he was like, even when it was coming to the Nolan Wells thing, he was like, what he was telling me about the purge, and I was like, okay, so remember I told you I was still trying to figure that out. Like, what is that? What is that? Um, and remember, I told you the scene that stood out the most when they went to the second one I had saw, and how I hadn't been able to somehow it just popped up on YouTube all of a sudden that God made sure I saw what He wanted me to see. And I was like, oh my God, how y'all watch that? But it was the part where the lady was skipping through the house, put the mask on and the shit, and then how they had locked down their house. But remember, they had that. So I was asking God, I was like, what did that have to do with the Nolan situation and what we're seeing now? He said, because it's beyond the Nolan situation and what is happening now. Like all the tracing back has been done, like Mississippi and all these other things. And that's because God is reminding us how, with the time of the times and how history repeating itself, there's a lot of other things that, why God is doing what He's doing with me, because He wants to take me, even me, deeper in the prophetic where I can reveal more, far as names and places and different things like that. We all have to grow in stature spiritually when it comes to these different things. With me, my whole life, nothing about my life has ever been um, normal. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Nothing about my life has ever been normal. I've been seeing visions. I've been prophesying and all that stuff, being close to God since a little girl. If you want to say you meet God outside the church, I can agree with you, or whatever. Even though my dad, as I knew my dad as being a preacher and all of that, none of the stuff that I have and lived and stuff had anything to do with that. My grandmother that raised me did not go to church, although she believed in God. They did allow me to go to church. But right there on our porch, I was a little girl, and I did not know God by name. But I always used to sit on the porch and I would used to look up in the sky. And anytime that I would talk to the sky, which is what I understood God where He was, I would sit on the porch at my grandmother's house, and at nighttime I would talk to the sky. And when I would pray to God, that was what that meant. God would give me confirmation, and I would see like a how y'all call it, a shooting star, a falling star, or whatever. And it always intrigued me, like, oh my gosh, why is it that every time I see that, and I was like, I wonder how many skies, stars that actually be falling out the sky like that. It was like, so as I was growing up and stuff, and nobody sat me down and talked to me. Like the stuff with witchcraft and all, they knew about stuff like that, but nobody introduced me to those things and things like that. So you can say not even that perspective, because I didn't know any of those things. But God took me on my whole life has been a journey with God before I even knew what to name Him. Because I was blessed before my mom's womb. I'm different than we all different in this perspective. And all my siblings, like, it's weird in a way, but it's interesting, not weird. But even if we were to talk about elements, if all of us make up the elements of the earth, but the way God gifted my mom's children, and I, as the elder of them all, because I have two brothers, but I'm the eldest, and my life and their life is just like, I know it's fascinating for my mom, because it's like, wow. But we all have been gifted where We've been called to preach and all of that, but they're more towards geared towards the world than I am. I am seems like I've always been wrapped in God. It's like it's kind of hard to explain it to people. So I stopped trying to explain to people because obviously if God wanted everybody to know, then he would have, So yeah, that's why you don't tell everybody all of your gifts and all that kind of stuff. Jesus didn't even do that. And you'll read that Jesus said he didn't even teach the disciples everything because they weren't ready. It wasn't that it was hidden. What was in the garden and that type form of divination, it was forbidden. But the things where God giving gifts and all of that, but he didn't. Uh, that's you, chat. Okay. Um, I heard the microphone. I know I hear my uncle here. Okay. Oh, especially after somebody walking up in their yard like that, I want to make sure. But everything, that's why I say, don't cry for me, honey. This my life. This is what, just like Jesus. That's what Jesus meant. Don't weep for him and understand this was the life that God sent him that God sent him here. He had to walk these things out. So even with me, don't feel sorry for me. God sent you to be that portion of my life to make be the catalyst for growth in some areas, to be a blessing to me or whatever. Understand that, but I'm not here for a pity party. I don't regret anything in my life, and that's hard for people to respect, to see, or whatever they got to make it some type of victim. But I ain't never claimed to be no victim and all that kind of stuff. I could easily do those things and all that kind of stuff, but that is not me in no forms of the way. I take all accountability for the parts I played and roles I played and things that happened in the company of my life and understand life lessons, things I had to learn, grow through, just like everybody else. So, you know, that is why God is trying to chisel us out in the way where he can put these things in and for our growth and for us to be wealthy and healthy in all the ways he wants us to so we can keep this and all this kind of stuff. But most importantly, what matters is our relationship with him. We here temporarily. What you gonna do when you leave him? Unless you don't care. I mean, hey, that's your free will too. you know? So, like I said, these other things, hey, it ain't worth getting into all this stuff and all this stuff. But I had to learn, and it's not about me being evil, whatever. But God had taught me how to detach and not be walking around here carrying all this stress and burdens and stuff like that. Why let him